yes, we are recording. So.
I'm as ready as I'm going to be, considering my magic witch box is shut down.
You'll be all right. Just like we all survived 24 hours without.
Nashville bombings. That was
I know
a fun
that's
day.
happened since we did anything last, and everything was down here for a day and a half.
Yeah.
And what I thought was funny is I saw the
By the way, I am Big Dave.
Oh yeah, and I'm Alan Smith. Sorry, yeah.
Welcome to the Gen X Project Gen X podcast.
So you have the same problem I do whenever you're trying to say that. It's like it's right there on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't get it out in the right order. So.
I've got New Year's hangover,
and we're well over a week off from that.
Well, it seems like 2020 may be hanging around.
At least I don't want to get into all that. But yeah, after the bombing happened here in Nashville on Christmas Day, AT&T service was down for a day and a half, roughly.
Yeah.
And I know whenever we finally started getting some kind of service again, getting back on Facebook, and the meme was going around to the, all y'all that put that meme out last year about living in the woods with no internet, you were all liars or something like that.
The funny thing is about that is that I was never down.
Yeah.
And that's because I have zero AT&T services.
Well, see, that's the problem. I have AT&T everything.
Yeah.
And
you might want to think about changing your cell phone over to Verizon.
We'll talk. No, I've got beef with Verizon. So
well, you only have two choices. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, T-Mobile and Sprint are not.
Well, T-Mobile and Sprint are the same company at this point.
And I'm definitely not going to.
Come over to Verizon,
Metro PCS, or what is it? My parents have
Boost.
No, it's Consumer Cellular or whatever.
You can't get that. You're not old enough.
I know. I mean, it's like all this. I'm just like, no, this is ridiculous. So, anyways, so now that we are in the year 2021. Dave doesn't know what we're doing here. This is another one of those episodes.
Yeah, he's going to make me look stupid again, just like
no, because this is something you lived through.
Thanks for that final episode with the clips and all that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. So it's what is it? It's you said before, the editor has the final say and everything. So
yeah, believe me, that's the last clip show.
Don't piss me off.
That's the last clip show you get to do by yourself.
So
what are we doing? What are we talking about?
We're going to look at 1991, the year in albums.
Okay.
Because it was actually a very significant year.
Okay.
Kind of up there with, when you go back and you start looking at like 1987, like all the big stuff that came out. Like 87 was a big year.
Yeah.
Of course, people like to talk about 92 as far as, this is the year that music's like, actually it started in 91.
Yeah, 91.
This is where 91 was that. We're right on the precipice of something getting ready to break big.
Yeah.
And when we get through this, you'll understand why we were doing 91 instead of 92.
For reference, I graduated high school May of 93.
Okay.
So this is the middle of high school.
I started my senior year of high school in August of 91.
Okay.
So I was living through this as a junior and senior.
This is what's funny is that I'm older than you, but I graduated 2 years behind you.
Yeah, we talked to you. I know because of moving around so much.
That's mainly, one was for moving around, and the other one was because we were moving. I was stupid, and I basically looked at school, and I was like, eh.
Yeah, I know. You know what's funny? I wasn't moving, and I looked at school and somehow still managed to graduate. I still haven't quite figured that one out. But
yeah.
So this is not comprehensive. Okay, this is not everything that was released in 1991.
You better be glad my magic witch box isn't working.
I know, and that's why I started.
I'd be like, you forgot this.
I know.
Forgot this.
And the thing is that I put like big albums on here. I also put significant albums on here.
All right.
And that's across. It's alt rock, it's metal, it's pop, it's country, it's whatever.
Okay, so there's definitely going to be some Garth and Trisha Yearwood in this.
Both of them are on this list.
Maybe some Dwight Yoakam?
No.
Really?
Nope. I found, as far as country music goes, the significant albums, there were some.
Yeah.
But they were, and when I say there was significant albums, they're the albums that kind of laid the groundwork for what 90s country would become.
Yeah.
There were albums that came out before this.
So there's
and
probably
after
some Kicks and Brooks on here too.
They actually, you know what? They actually are on here, and I didn't. I think I might not have.
Right now, there's a lot of people
because Neon Moon came out in '91, so that was, and I think I have them on here. Now that you say that, but
right now there's a lot of people that are listening to this podcast that know me as the metalhead on the show, and they're like, "How is he pulling all this country music out of his rectum?"
I listened to a lot of country back then, and.
See, I may listen to a lot of metal. I enjoy metal, but I listen to a lot of different types of music.
Yeah, I mean it is definitely one of those. You know what? Now that you said that, I'm going to go ahead and search that.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that.
So I don't even have access to my phone, and I'm already expanding the list on you.
I just want to make sure that I got Brand New Man.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, let me go ahead and put that on my list so when we get there that we can talk about it. Because I'm going to make sure I didn't already have it. I didn't. And I'm glad you said that because it was. I remember seeing that on the list.
Sorry, Brooks and Dunn.
Not Kicks and Yes,
it's Brooks and Dunn.
Brooks and Dunn.
There's probably some Reba on there.
There was a Reba McEntire, but it wasn't a significant Reba McEntire. I do remember looking at that one and being like, this one. I mean, there was like a hit on it. You know, I think it was the album I think that had like Fancy on it or something. Yeah. You know, and that was when she really made her turn and started doing a lot more like Broadway stuff. Because let's be honest, the Why Haven't I Heard From You and the one about and Take It Back and some of that stuff, they're just Broadway. All that and Fancy, those are just Broadway
I would be
songs.
Absolutely not surprised to find out that Jim Steinman had written some of those.
Oh, I know. It's a but August 13th. Let me put this down here. Because something else significant came out that same day.
Aren't you glad when we do research on the
live
fly?
On the show? Yeah. I know it's
you kind of get a behind the scenes look here, folks.
So all right, so now that we got that, and hopefully I will not have forgotten anything else. We're going to start in January.
Okay.
I have 2 releases in January.
Sure.
That hold on, let me pull because I have the page up also.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that we can kind of go through and blah blah blah. Let me say this before we get started. Of these albums, of the stuff that was released in 1991,
sure,
there are 10 albums that are on the Rolling Stone 500 Greatest Albums of All Time.
Okay.
There's an asterisk on it. There's actually 13. But the 3 that I didn't put on here were compilations. So it's like Ike and Tina Turner and Ray Charles and James Brown, the like greatest hits or that type of stuff. And I'm like,
you can't really count those.
I'm not putting it. These are like actual albums that were released.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to start in January. The first one that I have here, released on January the 8th, 1991. It's a little album called Fly Me Courageous by One Driving and Crying.
Yes, I own this.
Yes. Driving and Crying is one of those bands that, like, especially around here, they played in Nashville. They're very,
from Atlanta.
Yeah, and they're very much a southeastern band.
Yeah.
Like, this was probably their biggest album, honestly. This one and Mystery Road.
Mystery Road,
both of these. The 2 biggest albums.
I was about to call you out on that because I own everything they have.
But the thing is with both those albums is like they were the radio.
Yeah.
They were college radio hits, but they really were kind of.
Start a Fire was on that album if I remember
so,
right.
Yeah. But it was one that they were college radio hits, or they had, but they were also regional college radio hits a lot more than anything else. So
no, that's a good one. I actually owned all their stuff at one point on both CD and cassette tape.
I have quite a few of their stuff. I know and I say that. I had a bunch of their older stuff. I know they've continued, Kevin Kinney has continued putting out stuff and everything, but I kind of jumped off of them at some
one point. I even had like some bootleg cassettes, stuff
nice,
that was recorded at concerts from the audience.
All right.
And they weren't bad.
I have one other one in January.
Okay.
Sting, The Soul Cages.
Yeah.
Came out that year. It's
you put that one on there for Corey, didn't you?
Actually, my favorite Sting song is on that album.
Really?
It's All This Time.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like that song. Like that. That's one of the few Sting songs that I like.
Yeah.
So, but it was on the Soul Cages. So but yeah, that came out on January 22nd.
And don't get me wrong, I like some of Sting stuff. I like the earlier when he first went solo stuff.
And there were other stuff that was released in January, like by David Lee Roth and
was that Skyscraper?
No, Little Ain't Enough.
Oh, okay.
Motorhead put out 1916.
That's actually my favorite Motorhead album.
Front 242 put out Tyranny.
That's a good one.
The Divinals album came out this month. That they were a one-hit wonder. That's why I didn't put that on there.
It's very
now.
touching.
What's funny is seeing the Beat Farmers on here because they were a local band.
Yeah.
And here you go. Gerardo put out Moritmo.
Oh, I forgot.
Had Rico Suave on it.
Oh no.
And also I tell you one that I didn't put on the list because again it wasn't their big album, but the Screaming Trees released Uncle Anesthesia. That
was that the one after.
It's not the one that has I Nearly Lost You there. It's the one. This is the one that like before they kind of became a thing.
Okay, so this is the album before the album that had I Nearly Lost You.
Yeah. This is the one before that because that one came out in '92.
Yeah,
because it was that song was on the single soundtrack and then it was on the album that came out later that year. So
I remember seeing the single soundtrack. I was like, oh, Screaming Trees. I know them.
All right, so now we're into February. Queen's Innuendo was released on the 2nd.
Okay.
What is significant about this? It's the last studio album before Freddie died.
This is the one with I'm Going Slightly Mad.
I'm Going Slightly Mad.
Some of the others,
what else is on there? I wish, and of course, my brain all of a sudden just went completely blank because this actually has some significant. I'm Going Slightly Mad is on this.
I remember when that video hit MTV.
What is
And I was like, that's not Freddie.
Yeah, I know. He looks so bad in that video. He's so gaunt and he looks bad. I think These Are the Days of Our Lives might be on this one. It's one of those. This is all that very late.
My Magic Witch Box is
go.
back,
So,
but I won't turn it on.
All right, good. All right, that was released on the 5th.
I've even left it laying face down.
On the 14th, on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Cooley High Harmony by Boyz II Men.
That's a good album.
Yes.
That's a great album.
This was the album that introduced us to Boyz II Men.
Yep.
This is the one that has, Motown Philly and It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday.
Yep.
And what was the other big hit off of this? Oh, I can't remember. It was another ballad that they
You're
did.
the one with all the Magic Witch Box
right
now.
I'm not. And the thing is, I'm not going to go into a ton of because we would be here all day if we go into all that. Great album.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't their biggest out. 2, which came out 2 years later.
Yeah.
Is actually the one. That's the one that had I'll Make Love to You and Into the Road and like all their really big.
They only really had 2 big albums,
right?
And
the third one.
It didn't do as well.
It didn't do as well, and there was some issues inside the band, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, those 2 albums, especially 2, was just huge. But this was the one that introduced us to it. It's like, oh, hey, these guys are good.
Yeah.
This and so.
And that was part of that Belle Biv DeVoe family.
Right. Yeah, it was.
Was it Bivens that found them?
It was Michael Bivens and.
And there was like another group. There was like a little
ABC.
Kid, ABC.
Another bad creation who actually did put out an album this year also.
Really?
Yeah. But the thing is like it was one kind of a one and done type thing, But yeah, another bad creation was because that's all. There's that line, it says ABC BBD or BD. BB was it Bill BBD? There's a line in there. It says ABC BBD and then the Boyz II Men or whatever, in Motown Philly, because it's that whole. And the thing is that those guys are in Ronnie Bivens or not Ronnie Bivens, Michael Bivens is in the video for this, so really, it was one of those things that really did change a lot. Okay, third one for February, one of my favorites.
Okay,
and a recent favorite. Like in the last couple of years, I've gone back and like really listened to this and been like, oh, dude, well, how did I not listen to this?
Okay.
Dinosaur Jr.'s Green Mind was released.
Dude,
on the 19th.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're just now getting into that album?
I was never a big fan of their, like when the album after this came out, what was the name of that album? Anyway, I was like, okay, whatever. But it was one of those things when I went back and listened to this one.
Yeah.
Like a couple of years ago, and I'll admit it was from listening to the Under Wonder Sunshine because they were talking about it, and I went back and started listening. I was like, damn, this is wow. How did I sleep on these guys for so long? You know?
No, I've always dug Dinosaur Jr.
But yeah, this is the one that's got the wagon on it, you know, and that kind of stuff, and it's just okay. March 1991.
Okay. This is my birthday month.
Yes, an album that we talked about when we talked about Five Deep.
Okay.
Amy Grant with Heart in Motion was released on the 5th.
And just like that, he ruins my birthday for me.
It was released on March the 5th. I think we talked about that enough before. Yeah. But Baby Baby was a huge song. Every Heartbeat was a big song. I mean, it's...
I've actually worked on a couple projects with her, doing some video stuff. And
I met her. She's nice.
She's super cool.
She is. Okay, the next one. Here's for our indie rock fans. Throwing Muses, The Real Ramona, was released on the 12th.
Yes.
Also released on the 12th, another album you might have heard of by a little band out of Athens, Georgia, by the name of Rapid Eye Movement.
Yeah, REM.
Out of Time.
Yep.
This is the big breakthrough for them.
Yep.
Losing My Religion.
That's me in the corner.
Shiny Happy People and a radio song and, all those.
Name the band that was on Shiny Happy People with REM.
The band?
Yeah.
On Shiny Happy People?
Yeah.
Oh, what's her name? Kate Pearson sang on it.
It was more than just Kate Pearson.
Was it the whole B-52s?
It was Kate Pearson and her...
No, it was just Kate Pearson.
I think it was more than that.
No, it wasn't Cindy.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was Kate. Only Kate Pearson sang the backup. Because the third one is Mike Mills. The third voice.
I thought I saw the whole band in the video, though.
No.
I could
Now,
be
they
wrong.
may be like playing in the background or something, but
Yeah.
Kate Pearson's the only one that actually sings on it. And they hate that song, by the way. And I don't blame them because
Everybody hates that song. That was totally the...
Well, and then you get into the,
that was the
radio.
record company going, hey, we need a single.
Yeah. And, it was one of those things that radio song was also on there, which KRS-One was on. So
from Boogie Down Productions.
That's right. So one more in the month of March.
That's a great album, by the way.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. Rod Stewart's Vagabond Heart.
That's actually a great album.
It is. When you start looking at the track listing on this, it's like, just
go through and listen to the album.
Downtown Train is on this.
Which is a Tom Waits song.
Exactly. Broken Arrow, which is a Robbie Robertson song.
Yep.
Have I Told You Lately That I Love You was on this one, which, okay, whatever. But it's one, and was it the Beating of My Heart, or was it, what's the name of the song? The beating of my heart, the beating of my drum, the words I love you rolling off my tongue.
Oh, it's something about too young.
No.
I can't think of the name of the song.
The sky, I'll be sailing. It's oh crap, what's the name? Rhythm of My Heart. That's the name of it.
Okay,
yeah, that's
sure.
No. Forever Young was actually on the album before this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's the one that had Lost in You.
I can never remember the
well, it's funny because those two albums came out like right on top of each other. He released what's the name of that other song?
See, I'm terrible with actual song names. I can tell you,
but that other album came out in 1990.
Yeah,
and that's the one that had Lost in You and When the One You Love's in Love with Someone Else.
Yeah,
and it had Forever Young. And then this one came out, and it had Downtown Train and and all these other stuff. So it was one of those things that it was like a real that early 90s output from Rod Stewart was actually really good.
Yeah,
so yeah, that was released in March. Now we're moving on into April. Here's one I know you're going to like. This was not the thing that set this band
on fire,
but it's the one that made everybody go, we might want to keep an eye on these guys. Sepultura with Arise.
Yes, absolutely.
The next album, which was
the next album was the one with Roots, Bloody Root. No,
it was before. There's the one between the two.
Oh, let's see now.
I am losing all of my credibility here.
Yeah, you are, and you're making me lose it because My memory is as Swiss cheese as yours. Thank you. I'm coming up on 50 very shortly. Hold on.
But this was the one where people kind of go, we might want to keep our eyes on those guys from Brazil. What are they doing here?
Let's see here.
It wasn't Arise. It was the one after Arise.
Chaos AD.
That's it. Yeah, yep. Chaos AD. That was the one that really in metal circles are like,
and Roots. Roots is the one. That. Yeah.
And Roots is a great album. But that was also the last album with Max. That Max left after that.
He went to Soulfly. Yeah. With him and his brother or did his brother stay? I think his brother stayed.
His brother stayed because they didn't talk to each other for a long time.
But Roots had come out just as I was.
That was in '96 when that one was released.
That was, I think, that was the first or second semester I was the assistant music producer up at 88.5. And
because that was when I had my metal show, and I used to play the song Roots all the time, dude.
Guess who the one was that put it in the rack up there? It was me, because I was going through all the mail where the record companies were sending us the stuff.
So that was released on
such a good album.
Released on the 4th of April. Oh, excuse me, April the 2nd.
That was the album with Slave New World on it.
Right. Also released on April the 2nd.
Which seems a little kind of on the nose right now.
Lenny Kravitz with Mama Said.
That's a great album.
Yes, it is.
Such a great album.
That is the album that kind of, his first album, Let Love Rule, had, which had come out a couple of years prior to that. And it was one of those things that really kind of put him on the map, because it had Let Love Rule, and it had It's Not Over Till It's Over on that. No, that was on this one. I can't remember the other one. I believe was on the other one. That's what it was. But then this came out. You have Mama Said, and
this is the album that has Fields of Joy, Always on the Run, Stand By My Woman, It Ain't Over Till It's Over, More Than Anything in This World, What Goes Around Comes Around, Stop Dragging Around, Flowers for Zoe, which we know
his daughter. Yep. He was a famous actress now.
Yeah.
And this was also when him and Lisa Bonet were getting divorced.
Yep.
And that's why all of this is, that It's Not Over Till It's Over and all that kind of stuff. Always on the Run is a great song. Slash plays on it.
Yep.
I mean, it's, they've been friends since high school, type stuff. So, okay. This next one is not their most popular album.
Okay.
However, it did wind up on Rolling Stone's top 500 albums.
Okay.
Massive Attack with Blue Lines. Now, Mezzanine is their big.
That's their big one, but Massive Attack is amazing.
Okay, so Massive Attack Blue Lines is number 241 on the top 500. Okay, this is our first entry into this.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not hugely knowledgeable on Massive Attack. Like, I know some of the, I have Mezzanine. I know that stuff, but a lot beyond that, I'm kind of.
See, that's that period of time when I had a lot of Massive Attack in my collection. I had Sneaker Pimps. I had Hooverphonic. I had.
I've seen Hooverphonic in
Portishead.
Portishead goes into that one. I agree. Yeah, that's. Did I not write down when they?
I still like a lot of that stuff.
Where is that?
What'd you do?
I apparently did not write down. Here's an interesting, in April.
Yeah.
Alanis Morissette's debut album was released. Alanis?
Dude, I remember that first video.
No, not that album.
Oh, not that album?
No, this was her Canadian debut.
Oh, no.
When she was still like, you got to think she was like, because she's my age. So it's one of those things that this was in 1991, so she was like 17 years old when this came out. It was
that was her poppy Canadian squeaky clean.
Exactly. It's
look, I thought you were talking about the good one.
No, that came out in 95. So
with Taylor Hawkins wailing in the background on that video.
Okay, I must have done something wrong here. I'm not. You know what? I'm not worried about it. Here's the problem: is I was going off Wikipedia for a lot of this stuff, and for some reason I kept getting all the British releases on stuff rather than the American releases, the U.S. releases.
Yeah.
So some of these dates are a little
wonky.
Yeah, of like, Blue Lines I think actually came out later in the U.S. than it did in Britain. So here's another one though. In April, this is very significant for both you and I and our generation. Temple of the Dog was released on the 16th.
Yeah.
That is an amazing album from beginning to end, except for the exception of the one song that Eddie Vedder is on, Hunger Strike.
And we already know what Alan said about Eddie Vedder.
Heroin leads Eddie Vedder, so it's...
I'm still surprised you haven't made a T-shirt out of that yet.
I really need to do that at some point. So,
if you would like a T-shirt that says
that's right, man,
Eddie Vedder causes heroin, we might be able to.
No, heroin leads to Eddie Vedder.
Oh, yeah,
that's
there you go, yeah.
All right.
Of course, it's going to have the Project Gen X podcast logo on the back of the shirt. So.
Okay, so now we're moving on. Let's look at April real quick. Some other stuff that came out. Here's one that I know you're going to be like, oh yeah. White Lion released Main Attraction.
Don't laugh. I love that album.
I'll tell you something else here. The Doobie Brothers released Brotherhood. That's the one that had the Doctor was on it, which was like a hit for them, The Orb released The Orb's Adventures Beyond the Ultra World.
Yeah. Now, Main Attraction was really kind of...
The only hit off of that was they did that cover of Radar Love, but there was Little Fighter was like...
Yeah. But honestly, that album it's a good album.
Right.
Pride is probably... was one of my favorites.
Here's one I forgot to put on here. Fishbone, The Reality of My Surroundings was released, that album.
That's a good one. But I can't think of the guitar player's name for White Lion right now. That guy...
Vito Bratta. That guy's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Here you go. This is one you'll appreciate on the 30th. Yes, released Union.
Absolutely.
So, all right, now we're moving on into May. May is interesting.
Love, yes.
The first thing that I have on here of significance, these are my of significance.
Sure.
On May the 14th, Alan Jackson released Don't Rock the Jukebox.
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't pull that one before we got started.
This, again, not his first album.
No.
But this was the one that sent him into Alan Jackson's going to be a thing for a long while.
Yeah.
Obviously, it had Don't Rock the Jukebox. It had...
did I tell you about the time he drag raced me on 65 and I had no idea
Did this have Someday or Here in the Real World? I can't remember which one it was. It was a big... this was a big album. This was a... really solidified him. His first album that had, Neon Rainbow and, and that kind of, and that kind of stuff was big, but this one was just huge. Now, it would be the next album that had Chattahoochee on it that, really sent them into...
Let's see here. This is Don't Rock the Jukebox. That's All I Need to Know, Dallas. Midnight Montgomery.
That's the Midnight Montgomery, yeah.
Dude, that song still gives me goosebumps.
It's a good song.
Listening to it. Love's Got a Hold on You was a big one for him. Walking the Floor Over Me was
Here in the Real World or Someday on this one? Or were they both on his first album?
Hold on, I'll look real quick. Here in the Real World is
on this one. Okay.
No, that's the title of the first one.
Of the first album. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that was the one with
Someday on that one then?
I'm looking.
That might have been on the first one also.
No.
Okay, it was on the first one then. Okay. But it was a big album for Alan Jackson.
Neon Rainbow was on that one.
On the first one, yeah.
On Here in the Real World.
Right. That was his first album, was Here in the Real World. Okay, so Alan Jackson, like I said, became a huge thing. It's still a huge thing in country music, and this was very significant. Here's another one, also released on the 14th of May.
Sure.
You give me the band, I'm going to give you the album title. Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Well, that's Primus.
Exactly.
That's Primus. That's a huge band.
Jerry was a race car driver. Was on this one.
Well, the cat. I can't think of the name right now.
I know. Yeah.
Tommy the Cat.
Yeah. Those are both on here
because that's got Tom Waits doing the voice of the cat.
Right. Okay. The next one, also released on the 14th, is Ice-T's OG Original Gangsta.
Yeah.
Okay. The significance of this is that New Jack City came out this year, and New Jack Hustler is on this album. Well, as well as
I went and saw New Jack City opening weekend over at Fountainhead.
At Fountain Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an interesting experience.
Oh, I bet. Here we go. Released on the 13th. Now, here's the thing you'll notice with this.
Yeah.
Some of these dates are wonky. They'll be like, this was before everything kind of got settled in on like, okay, Tuesdays are going to be the release.
Yeah.
you know.
They were kind of all over
so
the place.
These things you'll notice that like there are some that release one day and then the next day something else will come out, and then like 4 days later something else will come out.
Yeah.
But on the 13th, actually the day before all of this, De La Soul's De La Soul is Dead was released,
which was a good album, but
not as good as 3 Foot High and Rising, but it's a good album.
That album was so good. I had that cassette tape stolen 3 different times on school trips.
Well, De La Soul is Dead is the 222nd best album of all time, according
to
now 3 Foot High and Rising's on that also much higher, but it's
the thing about De La Soul is Dead is they put that album out. They came out and said we would have never put out 3 Feet High and Rising. The record company made us do that.
It's such a good album.
They hate that album.
It's such a good album,
and it's hard to find.
For one thing, you would never. All the samples that it's on 3 Foot High and Rising, you would never be able to afford to make that album today at all.
And it was the same thing with, what was the guys that had the Cactus album? Did the Gas Face. I can't think of the name of them right now. But they were in that group. It was all Q-Tip's crew. And Tribe Called Quest. They all hung out with those guys.
Right.
But De La Soul hated that first album. So when they came out with De La Soul is Dead,
such a good album, though.
that was supposedly this is what we would have done.
They changed their sound quite a bit between the two, but yeah,
I cannot
still
believe
a good album.
I can't think of it. I'm going to look it up.
Here is another very significant album.
Yeah.
Released on the 28th. Smashing Pumpkins' Gish.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This was their debut album.
That's when Billy Corgan still had hair.
Yeah, no, this is their debut album.
It didn't look like an alien.
Yeah. Billy Corgan, say what you will about him.
Third Base.
Okay.
That was the group.
Say what you will about Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
He is a genius musician.
Yeah, he is.
No ifs, ands, buts about it whatsoever. He is a genius musician. And a huge
wrestling fan.
Yeah, but what comes with being a genius in any field is usually the arrogance and the assholishness and
some of that is they just don't. They're so into the music and they've got that talent. They don't have the social skills that other folks have, which is part of your problem.
Here. You snuck that one in. Okay, I got you.
There was some finger gesturing there.
Yeah. It's too bad this isn't a video podcast. So it's a good one. I'll give you that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Also released on the 28th. And I'm not going to say the name of the album. NWA's second album was released.
Yeah, don't say the name of the album. Yep.
For Life.
Yep.
Is the name of it. Of course, this was after Ice Cube had left.
Yeah.
And
this is where Ice Cube tore their butts up.
Yeah, with no Vaseline.
Yeah.
I know. This is...
which is still one of the greatest diss cuts ever.
I know.
And the turnaround on it. Because they released this album.
I know.
And the guy that was managing both bands turned around and played it for Ice Cube and was like, what are you going to do about it? Which is brilliant marketing on his part.
Let's see. June, is that what? No, we said we were in May, right? Let's see if there's anything else here that's kind of... there were a lot of like... and I didn't put much of this. I put some of it, like I said, if I felt it was really significant.
Yeah.
But there were, like, Morbid Angel put out Blessed Are the Sick here, you know. Like, Cannibal Corpse put out an album this year. And
which album?
Death put out an album this year.
Which Cannibal Corpse album?
When we get to it, I'll let you know, because we haven't gotten there yet. But you know, it's one of those type things. Dred Zeppelin put out 5 million this year. Yeah, I know it is what it is. Legendary Pink Dots.
Who?
Ned's Atomic Dustbin put out Godfather.
That's actually a good album.
Let's see.
I own that one.
Elvis
at one
Costello
point.
Put out Mighty Like a Rose. EMF put out Schubert Dip, but again, they're kind of a one and done. Yeah. Paul Abdul's Spellbound came out this year, which is the one that had Rush Rush on it, and Promise of a New Day.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney put out his Unplugged. Helloween put out Pink Bubbles Go Ape. Jodeci put out Forever My Lady.
There you go.
That one. Stevie Wonder did put out Jungle Fever soundtrack, which is actually not bad. But yeah, so you got that kind of stuff.
You said Cannibal Corpse, right?
It's coming, yeah. Cannibal Corpse.
Was it Butchered at Death?
Whichever one was released in 91, yeah. I think that might have been what it is, yeah. I just didn't put them on the list because that is a very niche. You and I would know about this, and a few other people.
Okay,
and
I own their first 3 albums.
I know, it's fine.
I did. I don't have them anymore.
All right, so now we're moving into June.
Yeah.
We have 4 that I have on this list that are very significant.
Yep.
Seal's first album, entitled Seal.
Yeah.
This is the one that had Crazy on it.
Yes.
Okay. Was released on the 7th. Seal is... Crazy is an amazing song.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's known more for Kiss from a Rose.
I blame Tim Burton for that one.
Well, no, it wasn't Tim Burton.
Wasn't it?
Because that was on Batman Forever. He was not.
Oh, you're right.
This was Joel Schumacher.
You're right. So, okay. This is nipple suit Batman.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're getting into it. Yeah. So, but Crazy was a great song.
Yeah.
Great. As a matter of fact, Alanis Morissette covered it whenever she put on her greatest hits.
Yeah.
Stuff, and she did a really good version of it as well. Okay. The next one. And this is significant because now, right here in June, we're getting into the SoundScan era.
Yeah.
This was when they started doing, okay, real numbers.
Yeah.
No more of this. We're going to call, Tower in LA and, what are you selling right now? Oh, yeah, we're selling a bunch of this, and then them doing estimates and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting into real numbers going forward here. And with that, the first album to debut at number 1 upon its release in the SoundScan album era.
Is this a Guns N' Roses album?
Skid Row's Slave to the Grind.
Oh, yeah.
It was released on the 11th.
This is another one of those things to where the band came out and said, yeah, that first album,
right,
that was the record company. We would have never put out that soft stuff, and this is the album they put out.
Right, and it's a good album. It's a real good album.
There's actually verses of it that have a couple songs cut completely off of it.
Get the F out.
Yeah.
I know, because they put that out, and then they were like, no, you got to pull that.
Yeah.
And so they put out a censored and an uncensored version.
Yeah.
I forget what the song was that was on the censored version. Like that was the one you could get at Walmart and places like that.
Yeah.
But the rest of it and quite honestly, that's a good song. It's like I like it personally. So
I had both the censored and the uncensored. Yeah. The censored album was what I'd listen to in the car with mom and dad, the uncensored version.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Debut album, another metal band that I know we both enjoy.
Yeah.
On the 14th, so 3 days later.
Yeah.
So again, not this Tuesday is the day everything is released. Typo Negative, Slow, Deep, and Hard.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You were a bigger Typo Negative fan than I was.
I did. Of course, Peter Steele's been gone for over a decade now.
Yeah.
But I really, especially from Slow, Deep, and Hard through the one after Bloody Kisses, Dark something, or I forget what it.
You're gonna make me look.
I know, but those like 5 albums are like just great. But yeah, this is that was the debut of that band. So one more, another.
Keep talking.
Another.
I'm gonna find this
significant of debuted at number 1. Did you find it?
Bloody. It's
the one after October Rust. Bloody Kisses, October Rust, and then
no, it's
Well, Origin of Species is in between.
Yeah,
the
there
two,
you go.
Yeah.
Bloody Kisses,
and then Bloody Kisses, and then October Rust,
and then World Coming Down.
World Coming Down. That's the one. Sorry. Okay, so Van Halen's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge was released on the 18th.
You mean Van Hagar?
Yeah. This was not the final Van Hagar. Okay. There was one more after his Balance came out a couple years later, which I really like that album.
It's not bad.
This right here is probably Van Hagar's pinnacle. Honestly.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean,
even though I enjoy 5150 a lot
5150
more
is
than
a great,
I do.
But this album had Pound Cake.
Yeah.
Standing on Top of the World.
Yeah.
And then the big one.
Well, you had
Right Now was on this album.
You had 5150, which was the very first Van Hagar album.
And I love that album.
Which is a great album.
It is. And that thing is almost that's another one of those albums you look at and you're like, okay, that was a single, that was a single, that was a single.
And this is Van Halen with Sammy Hagar of I Can't Drive 55. And they're trying to do Van Halen as Van Halen with Sammy Hagar, which could have happened earlier if Ted Templeton had his way. And then you saw them mature a little bit with OI-812. And it got a little bit more adult and it got a little softer.
Right.
And then you had this album come out.
Okay.
Which had kind of a mix of the two.
And this was a great album. From beginning to end.
Well, that first single, Pound Cake, I remember
that drill.
They did that world premiere on MTV.
Right.
And all you see is this drill looking down the neck of the guitar. You're like, what the heck is this?
I know. And great album. Okay, so other things that came out, this Kool Moe Dee's Funk Wisdom.
Yeah.
Came out.
That was kind of towards the end of his career, though.
Let's see.
Don't get me wrong. I love Kool Moe Dee.
Oh, Leonard Skinner 1991 was released.
Yeah.
Which was their comeback.
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately, it was their comeback. This one had Smokestack Lightning on it, and...
I saw them out at Starwood
this was when
they came through town on that tour.
Johnny Van Zant.
Yeah.
Johnny Van Zant, took over.
His brother.
Yeah. Susie and the Banshees put out Superstition.
Yeah, that's a great album.
Natalie Cole put out Unforgettable with Love, which was, she won all kinds of Grammys off of this thing.
That had the duet with her dad.
I know. Let's see, what else?
Who had been passed for how many decades at that point?
A while. Big Audio Dynamite 2 put out The Globe.
And we should,
here you go. Third Base put out Derelicts in Dialect.
Yeah.
This.
And we really should mention that Natalie Cole album wouldn't have been as big as what it was with that duet with her dad if Hank Williams Jr.
had done Tear in My Beer.
Tear in My Beer with his father, with splicing the tracks like that. Hank Jr. actually made that album
Here
happen.
you go. And I should have put this one on here and I forgot to. Anthrax, Attack of the Killer Bees.
Yes. Which has that great duet with Public Enemy.
Yeah, that said Bring the Noise on it. LA Guns put out Hollywood Vampires.
That's a great album.
Bonnie Raitt put out Luck of the Draw.
That's a great album.
Okay.
You don't like Bonnie Raitt?
Don't. I don't.
What is it with you and good music?
I don't, because I don't need anything to talk about. So.
You get more than enough of your own.
Exactly.
You big turkey.
Now we're moving into July.
This is what I was talking about with your problem.
July is interesting here.
Yeah.
On July 1st, the Ghetto Boys put out We Can't Be Stopped.
Oh.
This is the infamous album when Bushwick Bill had been shot in the eye.
Yeah.
And they took a picture of him on the gurney in the hospital with the bandage on.
Yeah, and put it on the album cover.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Ghetto Boys, for the people who know.
Yeah.
For the ones that don't, y'all need to go back and listen to some of this stuff. Because these guys
were hardcore.
And they talked about stuff that a lot of people did not. They talked about like mental health issues and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's like you can, especially you go back and you listen to My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me.
Yeah, that
is someone's depression cry for help, is what that is. I mean, it's one of those things. Unfortunately, Bushwick's no longer with us.
Yeah,
Willie D is doing a lot of great stuff down in Houston, though. I mean, he's just Willie D,
Well, I mean,
and then you got Scarface being, he's
part of that big Houston rap community.
But I'm talking about just in the community in and of itself. He's just like, no, dude. I mean, it's like I came up on the streets here. I know what's going on.
Yeah, if you don't know about the Houston, Houston rap community,
go and check it out, man.
Well, even their car culture down there is different from anywhere else in the world.
And this was also
I watched. I forget what the name of the documentary was on it, but I remember,
I know which one you're talking about. It's called.
Because you've got Willie D, you've got a Slim Thug down there.
I know
it just all just left my head. Dude, Slim Thug puts out some pretty good stuff.
Again, we're a couple of middle-aged white guys talking about hip-hop culture, so it's.
Yeah.
But I do very much advocate for the Ghetto Boys.
Hey, talent recognizes talent.
I know, exactly.
And so I don't know how
game recognizes game. That's
right. which means I have no idea why we're talking about it.
Exactly. So also released on the 2nd. So that was released on the 1st. Released on the 2nd.
Yeah.
2 significant albums: Tom Petty and Heartbreakers, Into the Great Wide Open.
Oh, yeah.
Which had that and Learning to Fly, and I can't remember the other song that was the big single that was released off of it. And then Trisha Yearwood's self-titled.
Wait, is that the one that had I'm So Bad? My sister got
No. You're So Bad is the name of it. That was on Full Moon Fever, which was released in '89.
Okay,
that was his solo. It was just Tom Petty.
That's like still one of my favorite songs.
That whole album is great. And you know what? It's funny, since we did our 5 Deep, I've gone back and thought and remembered a couple of things that we forgot.
Oh, I'm sure.
Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever was one.
Yeah.
Another big one that we forgot.
Yeah.
Big one we forgot was Bryan Adams' Reckless.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Big. How did we miss that?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's like, you could just buy that if it's like, I just want to hear all of his hits. Buy Reckless. Yeah. That's pretty much all of them that you need.
Buy Reckless, and then buy the album before that, Cuts Like a Knife.
Yeah.
Because that was actually...
Cuts Like a Knife was his first one. The one after that was, that had Run to You on it.
But
yeah, Cuts Like a...
Go back and listen to Cuts Like a Knife, too, because that's actually my favorite Bryan Adams album.
So
Trisha
Yearwood. She's in Love with the Boy.
Yeah.
The Woman Before Me.
This had Runaway Joe.
That's on the next one.
Okay.
That's on the next one. That's when she got the makeover.
Yeah.
And got a very young Matthew McConaughey to play Runaway Joe in her video. So it's nobody knew who he was yet. But yeah, She's in Love with the Boy was huge hit. Just stratosphere when that came out. Next one, skipping to the middle, or actually the end of the month, one that I know that you love, Mocky Mock and Funky Bunch.
Oh, good Lord.
Music for the People came out on the 23rd.
Do you know how much I hate that album?
It's just good vibrations, man. It's a sweet sensation.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, I like him.
Come on, feel it.
Oh. This is what I was talking about with that problem. I actually like Mark Wahlberg more as an actor than I do.
Say hi to your mom for me.
I was thinking more along the lines of Shooter, but okay. Yeah.
What was the one that he did? And I laughed so hard. I was like, no, they wrote this movie just so he could deliver that line. The other one that was based on a true story about the Marines or whatever it was. Is in the trailer, there was that Mark. He's like, man, I've been shot. I was like, man, we all been shot. It's like they wrote the movie just so he could deliver that line.
All right, let's get enough of Wahlberger. Let's go.
How about this? 3 days later on the 26th, the Mudhoney, Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge.
There we go.
So we're starting to see
Mudhoney.
You're starting to see that grunge thing is starting to become a thing all of a sudden. It's like, who is this? Who is it? This? That's Mudhoney is more I listen to them, but I was never like a huge fan of theirs. This doesn't have Touch Me I'm Dick on it, does it? Or no, was that Green River? Or was that
first off? It's Touch Me I'm Sick.
Whatever. What did I say?
That was a total Freudian.
Well, no, that's the thing. In the movie, it's called Touch Me I'm Dick.
Yeah.
Which I know the actual song is Touch Me I'm Sick. But it's
that's what you actually said.
Right. I know.
No, I dug Mudhoney.
Yeah.
They were loud, they were noisy, they were rude, and it didn't sound like anything else that was out at that point.
All right, so the last one in July, and this is significant. I'm going to see if you know why this is a significant album.
Okay.
Leaders of the New School released A Future Without a Past on the 30th.
Oh.
What did we get from the Leaders of the New School?
I'm drawing a complete blank, and I know I shouldn't be.
This was the major label debut of one Busta Rhymes.
Oh.
This was his group that he came up with that imploded right as this album was getting big, and then he went off and became Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
So, so this is a very significant album because it gave the world Busta Rhymes is what happened. So, and... that was a big album. So as far as that goes, okay. Here's some other stuff. Okay, here it is. Butchered at Birth, Cannibal Corpse came out on the 1st. There you go, right there.
Yeah.
Digital Undergrounds. This is an EP release. Came out.
Yeah.
Green Day's 10,039 / Smothered Out Slappy Happy or Slappy Hours. It's like a compilation of stuff.
It's Green Day.
I know. Here's an interesting one. Jello Biafra and No Means No released The Sky Is Falling and I Want My Mommy. Alice Cooper released Hey Stupid, which is actually a pretty decent album. It's got Feed My Frankenstein and Hey Stupid. And, Slick Rick, The Ruler Is Back.
Yeah, there we go. Slick Rick.
Let's see. Therapy released Baby Teeth.
I own that album somewhere.
Oh, Living Color released Biscuits on the 16th.
Okay.
Which is an EP, it's... DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince released Home Base. This is the one that had Summertime on it.
Yes.
I can't believe I forgot that one.
Yeah, which...
Like I said, I was going through putting all this stuff together, and it was just like, oh, what's going on?
That's still one of my favorite songs from them.
If You Like 'Em, Widespread Panic released their self-titled album.
I have to be in the mood to listen to Widespread
Fugazi
Panic.
Released Steady Died of Nothing.
Yes.
Psychedelic Furs released World Outside.
Which was not a bad album.
I've just never been a big Psychedelic Furs.
I like Psychedelic Furs, but it was that album was hit or miss.
Okay, now we're moving to August. This is where it starts getting fun. I have 5 albums in this. You're going to know all of them. They are all significant.
Well, you say that like I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. The first one was released on August the 12th. It is the 235th best album of all time.
Okay.
It's like you can't get much blacker.
Oh, is that Metallica's?
Metallica
was
released
it's the Bob Rock album.
Huge album.
That was the beginning of the end for Metallica.
We talked a lot about this on our 5 Deep episode.
Yeah.
Here's one for you. On the 13th, the day afterwards, Cypress Hill's self-titled album came out.
That's a great album.
How I Could Just Kill a Man is still one of the baddest songs I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, that just, yes. And then when Black Sunday came out, that's when they really, with Insane in the Membrane, and all that kind of stuff. But this album was like, no, there's somebody new that's around now. So.
Yeah, that hit, and everybody kind of did a double take, like, what the heck is that?
Also on the 13th, this was Brooks and Dunn's Brand New Man was released. This was... Who are these guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And until they, called it quits. I know they've gotten back together.
They were actually put together by the record company.
Yeah. I know. I've heard Kix Brooks talk about that, where he's like, no, it's like we didn't know each other prior, and then they was like, hey, you should, this guy. Then it just clicked.
They were both struggling as independent artists, trying to make it as independent artists, and the record company's like, you two should get together and write something.
Right.
And the rest is history.
Yep. Next one, and I know you love this one. Pocket Full of Kryptonite by the Spin Doctors, released on the 20th.
What's embarrassing is I actually, when it first came out, I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Well,
I bought it.
You got to remember, the first single was Little Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, who is this kind of funky new whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they released the song Pocket Full of Kryptonite.
Yeah.
It was late in 92 when they released... Two Princes, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my God, Spin Doctors, and it's like, oh, it's already over at this point.
Two Princes was the worst song on the album.
I know.
Pocket Full of Kryptonite was actually my favorite song off the album.
Yep.
But they were kind of that white boy jazz funk rock. And
oh, absolutely.
It went away. It went away pretty quick.
Yeah. This was their height, and that was it. All right, one more.
I think I went back to listening to Urban Dance Squad after that.
Urban Dance Squad is so good. But they came out the year before.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 160.
Okay.
On the top 500 albums of all time, according to Rolling Stone.
Okay.
Grunge band.
Is it Nirvana?
Nope.
Okay.
Predates Nirvana.
Oh.
Some people will say they're as big as Nirvana. Debut album.
Well, we've already talked about Mudhoney.
Pearl Jam's 10 was released.
Oh.
Yeah, no. I said, okay. But significant album, let's be honest. I mean,
I'll say this. Of the albums that Pearl Jam put out,
this is probably their best.
That's probably their best, and probably the one that I've listened to the most. And honestly, I was listening to this album a little ways before it hit big.
All right, here's where I screwed up on something. All Massive Attack's Blue Lines was actually released on the 6th of August.
Oh.
I got that one out of the wrong. Okay, here's some other significant albums.
That's a mistake.
Here's some other significant albums.
Sure.
Well, that's the whole thing is I actually went and looked on their wiki page, and I think it was the British date that they had.
Well, that makes sense because they were a British band.
Right. So Babes in Toyland released To Mother.
Yeah, okay.
In August. PM Dawn released On the Heart of the Soul and the Cross.
Yeah, I own that album. I wore that thing out. It was a nice chill. It was one of those things that I'd listen to kind of try to relax. It's a great album.
Mr. Bungle released their debut. Mr. Bungle.
Mr. Bungle just released a new album.
Yep.
Which it's amazing.
Here is a significant, whether or not you like it or not. I probably should put this on our list.
Sure.
Vanessa Williams with The Comfort Zone.
Yeah, I remember it was a big hit. I remember it
big album
being on the radio like all the time.
Blur released Leisure.
Yeah, that was a good album.
Let's see. Toad the Wet Sprocket released Fear.
Yes,
Bob Seger released The Fire Inside.
I'm actually a big fan of Toad the Wet Sprocket.
I know you are.
Specifically Glenn Phillips, who is the lead singer and principal songwriter for the band. And I've actually seen him do a lot of his solo stuff at, it used to be 12th and Porter.
Yeah.
Back before it got shut down, sold, and then reopened.
Yeah. All right. We're in September.
We're in September.
All right. We have quite a few in September.
Well, that did surprise me. Oh, sorry.
On the 2nd, 10 Machine 2 was released. It's David Bowie. Remember David Bowie and Reeves Gabriel? You know that. Okay. And let's be honest, it's not the best stuff David Bowie ever did. I love David Bowie, but I can't listen to 10 Machine.
He was known for experimenting. I know. And not always works.
Right. All right, here we go. On the 10th, Garth Brooks' Rope in the Wind was released. This is the one that had Rodeo. Yep. Shameless. Yep. What She's Doing Now.
Yep.
What else is on that album? We talked about it. Oh, The River was on this one. Because this album was on our 5 Deep.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Go back and listen to 5 Deep. You can hear everything that was released off of it. So
he's evidently not got his stuff on Spotify.
All right, so here we go. The next one.
Because I was going to pull it up and...
Released the next year. Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tears.
Yeah.
Great album. This was probably...
In the bush.
Yeah,
in the bush.
Hands in the Bush. I know. Then it's on No More Tears. Mom, I'm Coming Home was on this. Road to Nowhere was on this one. This was... And what was... there was another song that was released off of it. Another single. I don't remember off the top of my head. Was
that the one that had See on the Other Side?
No. That was whenever he came back. That was Osmosis had that one.
Okay.
Also, the 17th, big week for releases. Okay. You had Ozzy. Mariah Carey put out Emotions.
Okay.
I know, but it was a big album. Big album.
Now we only roll her out for like 5 days at Christmas.
Hole released Pretty on the Inside, their debut.
Okay.
Which, if you ever want to hear a big jump from what someone sounds like as an indie band to what someone sounds like as a major label band, listen to Pretty on the Inside and then go listen to Live Through This.
Yeah.
All right, here is the big one on the 17th. 2 albums.
Was this Use Your Illusion?
Use Your Illusions 1 and 2 by Guns N' Roses were released this day. You don't see people release 2 albums at the same time very often. It happens occasionally.
Yeah.
But it's...
Usually when the recording session was really, really successful and the record album goes, how can we make as much money off of this as possible?
But you just look at the volume of songs that are between the two. I mean, it's just... Yeah. Okay, so on the 23rd, the Pixies, Trompe de Monde.
Oh.
Or Trompe de Monde, or whatever it is, was released.
Yeah.
Pixies, you can never go wrong with the Pixies. I don't care. I mean, obviously, most people look at Doolittle as but this, I mean, it's anything by the Pixies is good. All right, here you go. We've got 4 albums in the top 500 of all time released this month.
This is still... Hold on. Is this October or September
this is
still?
September.
Still.
On the 23rd, also released Primal Scream's Screamadelica.
Okay.
Which I don't know a whole lot about Primal Scream, but I saw that it was on the list. So I'm like, all right, I'll put it on here because obviously it's significant, you know.
I remember listening to it. I don't remember a whole lot about it.
On the 24th, the next day, the number 6 best album of all time.
Okay.
This is... Come on. You said it earlier. It's Nirvana's Nevermind was released. Yeah. Do we even talk about it? I mean, what's been said that...
There's nothing we could say about this album that hasn't already been said.
I know.
Other than when it first came out, I hated it.
I liked it initially, then I hated it, then I liked it again, and then I was indifferent to it for probably a good decade. And then I came back, I'm like, this is actually really good. So.
No, when it first came out, I hated it, and I hated it for the fact that everybody loved it. Yep. Everybody went crazy over this thing, and I'm like, no, I hate it.
Right.
And it wasn't until later in life that I went back and listened to it, and I was like, no, okay, this has got some good stuff on it.
Okay. Number 43.
Yeah.
Best albums of all time. Also released on the 24th.
Okay.
There are 3 albums released on the 24th of September that are all in the top. Screamadelica came out on the 23rd.
Yeah.
All 3 of these came out on the same day. And the second one is A Tribe Called Quest with the Low End Theory.
Yes.
It's number 43.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Love Tribe.
Again, Tribe Called Quest is one of those. If you don't know,
you better find out.
Yes, you need to go. So it's
and more even than Tribe Called Quest is Q-Tip.
Yeah,
that guy's just amazing.
So, and here is the 3rd album. It is number 186.
All right, hit me.
Red Hot Chili Peppers' Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah,
I know.
Which that's the album that they put out, that they built the template, and then every album after that sounds exactly the same.
Chili Peppers have been around for a long time prior to this, close to a decade, honestly.
Yeah.
But this was the one that broke them.
Yeah.
Like they had, Mother's Milk had started it.
Well, and then it wasn't just Mother's Milk. It was the fact that they covered Stevie Wonder's
as a
higher ground on Mother's Milk.
Right. But that was the one that got their foot in the door.
But that was the only reason they did that is because the record company made them do it for a single. But the rest of the album sounds more like Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
It's not a bad cover at all. Like a lot of times the covers you're like, yeah, but this was actually a pretty decent cover. Okay.
Yeah.
But then Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out,
and then every album after that has sounded exactly the same.
If I never hear Under the Bridge again in my life,
it'll be too soon.
All right, last album.
Actually, the only song I liked after that was when they did the Conehead soundtrack.
Soul to Squeeze.
That
is a great song. That is my favorite song by them.
Yeah, mine too.
Absolutely favorite song by them.
Mine too.
Okay, last album released of significance in September.
Okay.
Also came out on the 24th.
Yeah.
Bryan Adams, Waking Up the Neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, all right, first off, if you go back and look at Bryan Adams, like in the 80s, okay?
Yeah.
You
won't recognize him because he looks nothing like he did back then.
But it's one of those things where it's like, you had songs like Heaven.
Yeah.
Summer of 69.
Yep.
Run to You.
Yep.
I Need Somebody, blah, 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 blah. This is the album when you get Everything I Do It For You.
Yeah. This is when he basically...
Can't Stop This Thing We Started.
This is where he basically starts his movie soundtrack
Yeah,
career.
It really is. Can't Stop This Thing We Started. There Will Never Be Another Tonight. And I forget what there was another one, Do I Have to Say the Words? It's like all of a sudden he decided to write these big, long song titles.
Yeah.
But again, had 4 big hits off of this album. You know, I mean, This is
where he basically took over for Kenny Loggins doing movie soundtracks.
Yeah, really, this is where it started, but again, it was still a big release, Okay, let's look at where are we? September.
Now I will say this: one of my favorite songs is off that Don Juan DeMarco soundtrack.
Oh, the Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? I love that song. I think it's a nice song. Okay, Overkill released Horoscope. Oh, Queen Latifah released Nature of a Sister.
Oh, now that's an album.
Naughty by Nature released Naughty by Nature.
That's an album. Sketch is, dude, he's one of the top in that industry.
Rush released Roll the Bones, which
it was an okay album. All right. It wasn't one of their best.
Blues Traveler released Travelers and Thieves.
Well, that's too bad.
Tesla released Psychotic Supper.
Yeah, which was an okay album. Right.
Now, Sarah McLachlan released Solace. I almost put it on here, but that album is... Fumbling Towards Ecstasy is the one that really... This was not her debut, and it wasn't Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. It was kind of like that little thing in between, you know. Let's see. Uncle Tupelo released Still Feel Gone.
Oh, Uncle Tupelo.
Cinderella released Live Train to Heartbreak Station.
Stop. If folks don't know who Uncle Tupelo is, you need to go do some research right now.
Right.
Because two major bands came out of that band, out of the split of that band, and that was Wilco and Sunvolt.
I know.
And everybody else was big Wilco fans. I was actually a Sunvolt.
You like Sunvolt.
Yeah, I'm a Sunvolt guy.
And the last one on here was Ween the Pod, if you like that stuff. So.
That's very niche. Very, very niche.
Wait a second.
With Ween.
Wait a second. What did I do here?
I don't know what you did there.
Oh no, I made a big mistake here.
Uh-oh.
Why? Oh, I know what it is.
What did you do?
I got a date wrong.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
But it's one of those that we're going to talk that I had on here to talk about next. And again, I pulled this from the same website that I don't get this. Also on the 24th of September was Soundgarden's Bad Motorfinger.
That's actually one of my favorite Soundgarden.
Somehow I got it as a October 8th release here. I don't know why, but it was actually released on the 24th. So that means that Nirvana, the Chili Peppers, A Tribe Called Quest, and Soundgarden all had major releases.
No, not just Soundgarden.
Day.
We're talking about Bad Motorfinger.
Bad Motorfinger, yes.
Which is probably one of my favorite Soundgarden albums ever.
I swear sometimes.
I'm basically...
This is why you should never use Wikipedia.
Yeah. Basically from Bad Motorfinger back is the Soundgarden that I like.
All right, so now...
And if I never have to hear Spoon Man ever again...
Oh, I know. That's not one of my favorites.
Or The Day I Tried to Live.
I can't dig that song. Yeah. Okay, so now we're moving into October.
Yeah.
We have 5 or 4, since Soundgarden isn't actually here. We have 4. This is you're going to notice a trend here. The first one on October 1st, Prince and the New Power Generation's Diamonds and Pearls. This is the one that had Diamonds and Pearls. Obviously, it had Get Off. It had Cream.
Yep.
You know, this was after the Revolution was no longer with him, and he was like, "Hey, here's my new band."
Yeah.
And they just proceeded to.
Which New Power Generation was who was playing with him when I saw him at Bridgestone on the farewell tour.
Yeah, you suck.
Dude, I didn't just get to see him on the farewell tour at Bridgestone with the New Power Generation. We had some friends that had a box rented out, and when we got to our seats, they're like, "Hey, come up here." Nice. So I got to sit in a box, and we were eye line with the
stage. Yeah.
No, not with the stage, with the actual speaker array.
Oh, okay.
So we were able to see down on the stage and see everything that was going on. At one point, the band goes away. Mm-hmm. And Prince sits on a stool with an acoustic guitar and does a half an hour of sing along with the audience with just him and a guitar. And he also came out and was like, "I really appreciate playing here in Nashville because you people understand what music is and understand what the industry is about." And we were like, "Okay, thanks, appreciate it." But that's like my number one concert that I've ever been to.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that is both a blessing and a curse, because sometimes you go and you see bands play, and all it is a bunch of Nashville elites standing. And when I say Nashville elites, I mean, like, I'm not necessarily talking about like,
we're talking about the guys that play behind the scenes that are the actual.
But I'm not even
players.
talking about those guys. I'm talking about just people who think they're the elites. That, all the musicians and stuff that are around here who are just like standing with their arms crossed, going like with that look on their face, like, oh, I could do better than this.
Yeah.
You know. So, okay. Also released on the 1st.
He played that wrong.
Also released on the 1st. Public Enemy's Apocalypse 91, The Enemy Strikes Black.
Yeah.
Good album.
Good.
This has got
good album. Come on, pull them.
Was it?
I'm not going to help you this time. Pull
All
them.
the Way to Arizona. Is that the name of the song? By the time I get to Arizona, that's when it Shut 'Em Down was on this one.
Yeah.
And this also had the Bring the Noise with Anthrax on it.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those things that was on both.
Well, this is the album they put out that was partially in response to Arizona.
That's the whole. By the time I get to, that's when they stopped celebrating, or they said they've had a vote not to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. Yeah, which was dumb.
Well, Arizona's always been a little bit more redneck than other
It's so
places.
funny to see how they have gone back and forth.
Sorry if you're living in Arizona. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the other ones.
Apparently, we don't. We don't have any listeners there that we know of. So, but it's still one of those things where Arizona has like moved back and forth across the political spectrum so much over the years. It's not even funny. Yeah. So,
excuse me a minute. I'm making coffee.
That's fine. So we're on to the next one here. Yeah, this is what I have to put up with, people. So it's. Somebody had to come in with an insulated mug, and so anyway, so the next one.
But I get more coffee that way.
Here's a good one on the 22nd.
Yeah,
another indie. Matthew Sweet's Girlfriend.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is a great album.
Love Matthew Sweet.
Yes, this is a good one. I had to put that one on here. It's like, oh, that's so good. And to round out. On the 29th, Ice Cube's Death Certificate was released. And
Cube!
Yep. And you can never go wrong with Ice Cube.
No.
I'm serious. Also released in August. In October. This was... Okay. For My Broken Heart by Reba McEntire was released. This is the one, I looked at it, this is the one that had her cover of That's the Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Yeah, that was a huge
had The Greatest
hit for
Man
her.
I Never Knew, and the song For My Broken Heart. Those were the big, Okay. Scarface put out Mr. Scarface is Back.
Yeah.
So this is him doing his solo stuff outside the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
You had They Might Be Giants with Miscellaneous Tea, which was the B-sides and remixes type stuff. Vanilla Ice put out the Cool as Ice soundtrack.
Oh no!
Here you go. John Mellencamp put out Whenever We Wanted, which was a pretty decent album. Infectious Grooves. You remember those guys?
I had completely forgot about
The Plague
them.
That Makes Your Booty Move. It's the Infectious Grooves. This is their debut. So let's see who else. Ugly Kid Joe put out As Ugly as They Want to Be.
I'll fess up. I own that one.
I did too. I actually really enjoyed that album. Like, it was an EP. Literally, I mean, it was like 6 songs or something like that. And there wasn't a bad one on there. Motley Crue put out their Decade of Decadence, which was
it was a compilation.
Was it this month or last month? It was last month that Rat put out Rat and Roll, which was a compilation of stuff.
Which, if COVID hadn't happened, they had already broken the contract to come back and start touring again.
Death put out Human this month also.
Oh,
Pennywise put out their self-titled.
Yeah.
Pennywise. Neil Young put out Weld.
Yeah.
Queen released Queen's Greatest Hits Volume 2.
Yeah, which is the Red album.
No,
that's the Red album.
The Blue album.
The Blue album is one.
No.
Are you sure about that? Okay. I will just go ahead.
Clicking on it. Yep. Queen's Greatest Hits Volume 2 is the blue one.
Okay.
I'm looking at it right here.
I'll say it now.
I remember. Say that one more time.
No.
It's all right. We got it recorded here.
Yeah, with you talking over the top of it, I'm not going to give you a clip.
Big Daddy Kane put out Prince of Darkness.
Kane.
Here you go. And I didn't put this on here because really it only had one legitimate hit off of it.
Okay.
But it was too legit to quit. It's Hammer. This is when he was just Hammer.
I'm sorry, Hammer Don't Hurt Him was a better album.
I know. I agree. Okay, now we're moving into November. So November is going to start off with Enya's Shepherd Moons.
Yeah, that's one of my...
I put that on here because...
My wife really likes that album.
That was a significant album for a certain set of people.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. We all knew that girl. So...
You may be in trouble. You might have Miss Nay coming for you at this point.
All right. So also released on the 4th. The number 73 album on the top 500 in Rolling Stone magazine.
Okay.
My Bloody Valentine with Loveless.
Yes, absolutely.
If you ever want to hear some of the roots of Nirvana, go back and listen to My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
Them and the Pixies. You listen to both of them, and that's everything you pretty much need to know how Nirvana became who they were and why they sound the way they did.
Yeah.
Okay. On the 11th, on 11/11/1991, Genesis released We Can't Dance.
And that's what you call truth in advertising.
But it was a big, the song I Can't Dance was a big song. You couldn't get away from it. And I know there were some other songs.
Hold on. There was, I'm gonna see if I can't find it real quick because
I got it
you're
right
here.
I got it right here. We Can't Dance. Tracks was No Son of Mine.
Yep.
Jesus He Knows Me.
Yeah.
I Can't Dance.
Truth in advertising.
And those are the only ones I know as
it seems like there was another one on there.
There was apparently, as far as singles go, they also released Driving the Last Spike, Never a Time, Tell Me Why, and Hold On to My Heart and Fading Lights. And I don't
Hold
know
On to
any
My Heart.
of those.
That's the one I recognize.
I don't
Heart.
recognize any of those other, just the No Son of Mine, Jesus He Knows Me, and I Can't Dance are the ones that I really remember.
I was kind of upset about Genesis getting back together because I really actually preferred Mike and the Mechanics better.
Yeah, well. Okay, so another very significant debut happened the next day on the 12th.
Okay.
It's Tupac's Tupacalypse Now.
Yeah, okay.
This gave us...
Well, I know...
Let's be honest. Digital Underground gave us Tupac.
Yeah.
But this is where the world was introduced to Tupac.
Yeah. I know he's a very talented, but I couldn't get into Tupac.
I'll admit Tupac is hit or miss with me. Some of his stuff I really love. Yeah. Some of his stuff
I'm not taking away from any of his talent.
I know.
Super talented guy, was definitely a wordsmith. For me personally though, I couldn't do it. It just
I get it. It's and like I said, he's hit or miss for me.
It's all
really is.
Music's all subjective. Yeah.
So on the 18th, the number one, this is the last one on our list here, the 124th best album of all time.
Yeah, okay.
A little Irish band by the name of U2 put out Achtung Baby.
Yeah.
And blew up even bigger than they had been before.
Yeah. Blew your mind because you were already
this was
a huge
the album.
UT.
Well, this was the album that really got me into them.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I was not a big U2 fan prior to this.
See, I went to
now.
Go
I
had
always loved the song "Where the Streets Have No Name."
Yeah,
but that was the only one by them that I was ever like, yeah, I really kind of dig these dudes.
See, I went to go see Rattle and Hum in the theater.
Yeah,
I know, I keep saying this, but people talk about U2. Mm-hmm. I'm like, which album? They're like, Achtung Baby. I was like,
yeah. But see, this was the album that got me into them.
Yeah.
Then it was okay. Give me everything prior to this. And of course, I knew stuff off of. I knew a lot of their stuff. Because
you knew stuff off of War. You knew stuff off of Joshua Tree.
It was one of those. Rattle and Hum and the Unforgettable Fire, and I knew songs off of All October. I knew a lot of those songs.
Yeah,
it was just that because at the time when those albums were coming out, I was really more into the metal scene and that kind of stuff, and I didn't want some Calls band. I don't give a crap about that. I want
I was way
rock
into
and
the
roll
metal
all night and party all day, and whatever.
I was way into metal also, but I recognized good music when it was good.
But
music.
It was this album that I was like, wait, what are they doing now?
Yeah.
This is different. This is, this doesn't sound like the 80s. And I mean, let's be honest. In a lot of ways, the Edge's over delayed guitar is the sound of the 80s.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I mean, there were a lot of different sounds of the 80s.
I know.
That super over delayed, reverb guitar is just one of them.
All right. One more in November. Significant.
So far, according to you, they've all been significant.
Michael Jackson's Dangerous. Black or White.
Yeah.
I
get that. I mean, that was a pretty good album.
Yeah. It was a big album. Probably the biggest significance outside of the fact that it's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Was that Michael Jackson was sitting at number 1 on the charts through the holidays. In 1992, on the first week in 1992,
yeah,
Nirvana's Nevermind knocked him off the top of the charts to take the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
The thing that a lot of people have said that they believe, like a lot of experts who've looked at the reason they believe that happened, parents, I know this Michael Jackson, and they bought their kids the tape or the CD or whatever for Christmas, and then the kids took it back and exchanged it for Nirvana.
Yeah.
And that was what.
Yeah.
So, So, all right. So, and
once again, not taken away from Michael Jackson.
No, I love Michael. I know that there's a lot of people who have problems with Michael Jackson, and he did some just despicable things. And it's anybody who in the last 2 years have all of a sudden jumped on this Michael Jackson was a terrible human being thing. You weren't paying attention long term. We've known this since a long way back.
Yeah.
Okay, and because it's one of those things where there's smoke, there's fire. The thing is I look at the music.
Separate from
judge
the
music for what it is,
yeah,
and still say he was a despicable human being.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of like a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that person. Kevin Spacey did some despicable things in his personal life, but he was a good actor and he made some good movies.
I mean, let's just call
it throwing all of it out.
Let's call it like it is. A lot of brilliant people in the past have been awful individuals.
John Lennon.
But still had
John Lennon.
Really decent art.
John Lennon. I love John Lennon's music.
Yeah.
John Lennon was a despicable human being. And it's been very well documented, but people still want to give him sainthood for some reason.
Okay.
So,
I'm not going to jump on that because I don't know enough about that to speak to that.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. He was, yeah. We won't go into it, but yeah.
If you want to say so, I'm going to leave that up to you.
Yeah.
That is, I'm just going to go ahead and separate myself from that. That is Alan. I don't know enough about it to speak to it.
Just go Google John Lennon domestic abuse.
Well.
So that's all you got to do. And you'll go down the rabbit hole after that. So.
Here you go. Okay.
So also released in November of 1991. We got to talk about it because it was big. The original motion picture soundtrack to Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Because that song that Celine Dion, and I forget who the other guy was that sang it, it's a huge song. It won Oscars.
Wasn't it Peabo Bryson?
No, that was When I Fall in Love.
Okay.
But this was a huge... They won Oscars and stuff. I mean, that's how big this was,
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? Teenage Fan Club put out Bandwagon-esque.
Yeah.
Let's see. Stevie Ray Vaughan, they put out The Sky is Crying.
Yeah.
This was 10 months after he had died in the helicopter crash.
I was actually watching MTV
when they
did the breaking news announcement.
Here's a good one for you.
Which I think
Ricky Martin's self-titled Ricky Martin came out of this when he was like a little bitty Ricky Martin.
Yeah. No, I think that was when the helicopter crash happened. Not too long after he had done the Austin City Limits thing. He had just broken huge.
Yeah. And Bad Religion put out a compilation 80-85.
Yeah.
Voivod put out Angel Rat.
Yeah, it was okay. Not great.
Ooh, Yanni put out In Celebration of Life.
Yeah.
Aerosmith released Pandora's Box, which was their box set, of stuff.
Blah 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 blah.
Keith Sweat released Keep It Coming.
Yeah. It should have been more like put it back in the box.
All right, well, I guess that's it. Okay, now, December. I only have one thing on my list.
In December?
It was released on December 31st, last day of the year.
All right.
Live's debut album, Mental Jewelry.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, those guys were like 17, 18, 19 years old when this was released. They were real young. And of course, it was Throwing Copper that came out 3 years later that really broke them. But Mental Jewelry was their debut.
Which is a good album.
It is.
Considering it's a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds.
Let's see. Green Day released Kerplunk on the 17th. And Monster Magnet released Spine of God. And I honestly don't see anything else in December that is worth talking about. So,
well, alrighty then.
So that is the list of quote unquote our list, or I guess my list of significant albums we talked a lot about. 91 was a big year in rock. I mean, really, you just go down the list and, like I said, you just look at that in September. Soundgarden.
What's funny is I remember walking around going, "Man, does the music today suck?"
Yeah, well,
this music sucks. Why can't we go back to the old stuff?
I know. Well, it's like that Brian Posehn video that I sent you. That the new music sucks, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And not quite as good as what was it? Bouncing tennis balls off the wall.
There are just some very damaged people in the world.
Yeah, go look that one up.
Evidently, you happen to be one of them.
Go look that one up on YouTube if you want to get kicked right in the gut.
Wow. Yeah, he did this to me today, and I was just like, it was such a kick.
It was a dick move. I know. Anyway, so guys, thank you so much for sitting here listening. We're going to be talking a lot about 91 this year. Dave doesn't know this yet. I've already started putting together some stuff. We're kind of like what we did with 1984 last year. Where we kind of went through the movies, and we went through the music, and we went through.
Sure.
A lot happened in 91 because this whole thing we mentioned earlier. Freddie Mercury died in November of 91. The other big significant thing that happened there was the fact that not a week earlier was when Magic Johnson made his announcement that he had HIV.
Yeah.
And Freddie Mercury died a week later. And it was just like, wow, what just happened.
Yeah.
We lived through our own pandemic for many, 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 many years through the 80s and into the 90s and through the 90s of AIDS and HIV. It was one of those things that, here we're getting on a real serious thing, but it was one of those things that was scary because it was like, hey, you get this, you're going to die. Like there was no ifs, ands, buts about it. Unless you were Magic Johnson, who had a lot of money that could get, all the, the best doctors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still one of those things where it was like, that was if you get this, you are going to die.
I remember what a scandal it was that, he made the announcement and then he was going to keep playing in the NBA.
He retired and then he came back to play in the All-Star game. And there was some concern. Some people were like, everybody. And then he played in
there were a couple of players that pulled out or something. Yeah. I don't remember what it was.
There was a few things like that. And
crazy
then,
news
and then again, when the Dream Team happened the next summer, for the 92 Olympics, which I'm sure we'll cover next year. He played on that, and there was kind of some controversy there as well. But again, it was one of those things we were still, we were less than a decade into it, and there still were a lot of questions about how does this do we know how it transmits? Do we know how it this and that and all that kind of stuff? So for all y'all that want to get bent out of shape about this COVID stuff, just remember this is brand new. And I know we live in a different world than we did 30 years ago, but we're still learning.
Yeah.
So we don't know what we think we know yet. So just to say that's all we're going to say about that, honestly.
Just be patient because this roller coaster isn't over, folks.
That's right. 2021 so far has just kind of been an extension. I saw a great meme yesterday on Facebook.
Yeah.
I guess it was.
Is it the one that I actually created?
No.
Did I show you that one?
I don't. No, it wasn't that one. It said, what was it? It was, I think it was like, Dear 2020, after my 7-day trial of 2021.
Oh, no, I didn't create that one, but I was the one who posted it. It's like
I've seen that several places.
It was like I would like to cancel my trial subscription to 2021. I am not interested. No, the one I'm going to call it in case anybody sees it. I actually created a meme back before Christmas, and it was or maybe it was after Christmas. It was right when the Twisted Tea incident happened, where that guy busted that can. And I managed to get a screenshot of the video of just before the hit, and you could see the drunk dude leaning over, and it's like, I'm so glad 2020 is almost over.
Oh, yeah.
And it's down by 2021. I just want to say I made the meme, and I called it.
And I want to say that dude deserved it.
Yeah,
that dude
absolutely
deserved it. He deserved a whole lot more than what he got. So
it's too bad he didn't hit him with a 6-pack of that.
Man. What's funny with that video, if you haven't seen it, just go to YouTube and Google Twisted Tea. That's all you have to do.
Or Twisted Tea hit.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. I guarantee you put Twisted Tea in, and that's going to be the thing that comes up on the search bar. But it is one of those things that dude, because that video, when he gets up, is just like, what the hell just happened?
Well, I saw one version of it where somebody had taken the hit, and the drum part from In the Air Tonight.
Yeah.
I was like, yes!
So anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening.
We should probably do a short update on what social medias we are and are not on at this point.
Just go to Facebook. And that's at this point, just go to Facebook or email us, projectgenx@gmail.com.
For the time being, we are still on Facebook, and I'm still trying to keep up the Facebook page over there. And Alan throws in some stuff from time to time.
Yeah, too. And that's all we're going to say at this point.
We're no longer on Twitter.
We are no
Don't
longer on
look
Twitter.
for us on Twitter.
Yes, we are on Parler, but we're not into the crazy people. But even that is up in the air at this point. So it's Instagram. That's the other Instagram. We're still on Instagram.
Yeah, we're still on Instagram.
Will probably always be on. So, but yeah,
until they kick us off.
Yeah, well, there could be that too. Especially after that last one I posted.
Well, you saw the meme I posted last night. It said, "Follow me, and you'll be in a world of Facebook violations."
Exactly. So guys, thank you once again for sharing time with us. My name is Alan Smith.
I am Big Dave.
And we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.